You know B&M, the masters of smooth, thrilling, and reliable coasters. For years, their inverting and hypercoasters were the kings of the park. The reliability and capacity these rides came with were like no other, aside from the fun ride experience. But recently, something has been changing. A new model has come to the forefront of B&M's portfolio. I'm talking about the B&M Dive Coaster, and they are truly taking over. Why is this happening now, and where will these incredible vertical drops appear next? That's the question we'll be answering today, so buckle in. For decades, if you wanted a signature thrill ride, you looked at Bolliger and Malabar. Their inverted coasters redefined the experience of going upside down, and their hypercoasters delivered breathtaking airtime. These models became staples at parks across the USA, but the coaster landscape is always evolving. Let's rewind a bit and talk about the impact B&M had when they first burst onto the scene. In 1992, they unleashed Batman at Six Flags Great America, and the coaster world was never the same. This was the world's first inverted roller coaster where the train runs under the track, leaving your feet dangling in the air. It was a completely novel sensation, and parks across the country clamored to get their own version. Think about it. Suddenly, you weren't just going upside down. You were suspended upside down, twisting and turning through intense loops and rolls with a smoothness that was unheard of at the time. These inverting coasters became instant hits, and for years, a B&M invert was a must-have for any park wanting to be a major player in the thrill ride game. Other manufacturers also made inverted coasters, but one from B&M was guaranteed to be smooth and reliable. They were so popular that in the late 90s and early 2000s, the number of inverts being built in the US each year was more than anything the industry had ever seen. Then, just as parks were filling up with inverting masterpieces, B&M shifted gears and introduced another groundbreaking model, the Hypercoaster. In 1999, Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens Williamsburg took riders to incredible heights, focusing on speed and that amazing feeling of weightlessness we call airtime. What made these hypercoasters so successful? They were massive, visually stunning, and delivered a different kind of thrill than inverts. Instead of intense inversions, hypercoasters focus on those breathtaking drops and moments of floating out of your seat. Rides like Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure and Diamondback at Kings Island became fan favorites, known for their smooth rides and incredible airtime hills. The Hypercoaster would go on to become an even more popular coaster model, with some of these coasters becoming the headliner attractions at their respective parks. B&M truly cornered the market on this type of coaster, and just like their inverts, hypercoasters became a staple at parks looking to offer that signature wow factor. All this on top of the amazing capacity these rides came with, and that traditional B&M reliability was the recipe for ultimate success. The B&M Dive Coaster was first introduced 20 years ago with the first opening at Busch Gardens in 2005. Now, the B&M Dive Coaster is stepping into the stoplight again though. With their imposing height, near vertical drops, and wide trains, these coasters are an instant statement piece for any park. We've seen a surge in these installations recently. Emperor opened at Seaworld San Diego in 2022, bringing a different style of dive coaster to the West Coast. In 2024, Dorney Park unleashed Iron Menace with its incredible 152-foot drop. And get ready for 2025, because Six Flags Great America is debuting Wrath of Rakshasa, promising to be the world's steepest dive coaster with a 96-degree drop and 5 inversions. Even Six Flags Over Texas is planning a record-breaking dive coaster for 2026. While launch coasters are definitely a major trend right now, with parks adding them from various manufacturers, B&M's dive coaster has become a key player in their lineup. They've been selling a significant number of these since 2010, showing that parks see the immense guest appeal of these rides. It seems the visual impact and the unique thrill of that vertical drop are a winning combination. The reason the B&M Dive Coaster is taking over now is likely because of the combination of B&M's stellar reputation for quality and reliability, the undeniable visual spectacle and intense thrill of a dive coaster experience, and the model's strong market appeal as parks look for signature attractions in a competitive landscape. And while some enthusiasts might notice subtle shifts in ride smoothness as B&M adapts to economic realities, the sheer number of recent and planned dive coaster installations speaks volumes about their current dominance. Now, let's really explore where we might see even more B&M dive coasters making their grand entrance across the USA in the coming years. First of all, there's Six Flags Magic Mountain. This legendary park in Southern California is a coaster enthusiast's dream, but it's still missing that iconic B&M dive coaster in its massive collection. Given the recent addition of Wrath of Rakshasa to their sister park in Illinois, it feels like a strong possibility that Magic Mountain could be next in line to receive this thrilling attraction. Imagine a dive coaster towering over the landscape, adding another record-breaking experience to their already impressive roster. Next up, there's Kings Island. Located in Ohio, Kings Island boasts a fantastic collection of B&M coasters, including the Giga Coaster, the Hyper Coaster Diamondback, and their inverted coaster Banshee. Their established relationship with B&M makes them a prime candidate for a dive coaster. A ride with near vertical drop would offer a completely different sensation compared to their existing B&M lineup, providing even more variety for thrill seekers visiting the park. Cedar Point nearby got their dive coaster almost 10 years ago, and now that Cedar Point just got a tilt coaster, I think it's possible a different type of dive coaster that's a lot more unique than Valverin could make its way to Kings Island later down the line. Then there's Hershey Park. With rumors swirling about a potential third B&M coaster coming to the park, a dive coaster will be an incredible addition. It would perfectly complement their existing thrill rides and further solidify Hershey Park as a top destination for coaster enthusiasts on the East Coast. Dorney did beat them to the chase though, but I wouldn't be shocked if Hershey built an insane record-breaking dive coaster in 6 to 8 years that shattered all of Iron Menace's record. I could also see Great Adventure do this later down the line, but I guess we'll have to see which park will be first to grab one. Dollywood. Nestled in the scenic Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, Dollywood is known for its unique theming and high-quality attractions, including the launched wooden coaster Lightning Rod. While they currently only have one B&M coaster, Wild Eagle, their commitment to providing world-class thrills could make them a contender for a dive coaster in the future. Such an addition would further diversify their coaster offerings and attract even more visitors to this award-winning park. I do think a hypercoaster will be a better fit for them as opposed to a dive, but either are possibilities. Carowinds. Straddling the border of North and South Carolina, Carowinds already boasts the impressive B&M Giga Coaster Fury 325 and the Hypercoaster Intimidator. They might be interested in adding a dive coaster to the lineup. This would offer a different kind of intense vertical drop experience and further solidify their position as a major thrill park in the Southeast. I think now a Vekoma tilt coaster might be a better option here, but we'll have to wait and see. Seaworld Orlando. Having recently added 2 B&Ms in a row, Seaworld Orlando might look to further expand their thrill ride offerings with a dive coaster. You never know with Seaworld and B&M, though they may not want to get a ride model Busch Gardens temper just an hour away already has. Six Flags Over Georgia is the most obvious contender for a dive coaster in my opinion. There's been an extreme focus on the park recently, and dive coasters are extremely marketable rides and will be a perfect fit down at Over Georgia. That's not the only thing I think Six Flags has planned for this park though, and with their insane aggressive investment plan coming to this park over the next 5 years, Over Georgia is in for a huge treat as I talk about at length in this video on screen now. Click here to reveal Six Flags' secret plan for Over Georgia starting in 2026.